Happy Friday to my basics bitches out there. This is Friday No Filter, where we unleash the rant on the basics of health. Each Friday, we tear down the glossy facade and dive headfirst into the nitty-gritty of what it takes to thrive in the chaos of modern health. No frills, no fluff, just straight talk about what matters. It's time to embrace the chaos on your own journey and give a big, bold middle finger to the status quo. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Call Me Skinny. Excited to be here with you. I say that every time, but that's the truth because I love doing this every single 3 times a week. Not to mention all the other calls that I actually do. So I typically do a content call with my Fat Loss Basics group. I do a live in my Facebook group. If you're not in there, links in the show notes, grab it. Get in my Facebook group, Facebook group. Also get in my Fat Loss Basics group. You can get in there too. And then Basics on Demand. I do one call a month. Wow. Words are hard again, apparently today with them. So get in there and links are in the show notes, guys. We're just going to hop into it today because I am on fire. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you're going to know that I've been saying some pretty polarizing shit. And, it really gets under people's skin because it calls them out in a way that they don't like it. It calls them out. Well, one person was like, man, that just slapped me in the face. I was like, that's epic. Absolutely epic. So, it's just a matter of digging in to things that are uncomfortable and things that are hard, right? But on the flip side of this, and I talked a little bit about this the other day. I talked a little bit about this on Wednesday's podcast. If you didn't go listen to Wednesday, go listen to Wednesday. Then we're going to dive into just briefly. I'm going to expand on this piece here, which is doing nothing is a fucking option. And it's an option that the majority of you are taking. Like, it is fine to do nothing about your health. It is fine not to fix shit. It is fine not to get healthy. Like, it's totally okay. And it's also an option. And it is an option that, believe it or not, a lot of fucking people do. It's an option a lot of people choose. The majority of us choose not to do anything about our health. And yes, I understand. This process is hard. Yes, I understand. This process is overwhelming. Yes, I understand. I get it, guys. I've been there. I was 250 pounds. I had to fucking figure this out all on my own. I didn't have a fun little podcast that yelled at me every day. Okay. The podcast that I listened to that yelled at me every day was, none. I was trying to think of what podcast I listened to. Because again, guys, this wasn't a thing back then, 8 years ago. Believe it or not, 8 years ago. It doesn't seem that far back, but this literally wasn't a thing. After I got really into fitness and really already had kind of transformed, I started listening to these podcasts. And I listened to Cody McBroom first. That's where I actually found him on a podcast that I found my first business mentors on his podcast or something like that. And he is a no bullshit approach. Like, he is just very, very matter of fact, very scientific, very you make a choice, fucking shit or get off the pot, that's his mentality. And it really is a choice. It is a choice. Yesterday I put on my Facebook page and people got so big mad about me that if you cannot drink water and you cannot move your body, then you do not deserve to lose weight. And people got so, what if I have a disability, I can't move. Okay, I'm not saying that that's not real, okay? First of all, to be super clear, I am not coming at people with disabilities, but there are other things that you could do then, okay? One of the people that commented that said she had a disability drinks like a fucking loon, okay? She's a big drinker. So understand the audience. If you're going to come at me and tell me that you have a disability and you can't move your body, that's great. Maybe we should pull back on the alcohol. What does your protein look like? How does your water look? What does your fiber intake look like? What does your stress and sleep management look like? Okay, so you can't do one of the things. But as I posted, because people started getting really mad at me, there's other health basics that also should be in play before you go into a diet phase. There's also other health basics that are a priority before you go into a diet phase. But it's a choice on whether or not you fucking think it's worth it or not worth it. At the end of the day, it's a choice. In my house, we say it's the choice you chose to choose. The choice you chose to choose. If you choose not to do anything about your health, that is a choice that you are actively making. It doesn't mean that you have to be perfect. It doesn't mean you have to change everything. Yesterday, I did a private mentorship with somebody. She bought a 1-day pass with me, and we spent 8 hours in a private container, and we talked through all of this stuff. Big stuff, little stuff, mild stuff, heavy stuff, hot stuff, okay? And the thing that kept coming up for her is how overwhelming it is. It's so overwhelming. It's so overwhelming. And it makes sense why it's overwhelming. You know, I asked her where she got some of her beliefs. Like, where do you believe why do you think food is good and bad? And when you talk about food, like, it's very apparent in her language. Okay, I can pull things out of your language, the way you speak, the way you talk about things, that you would not realize that I am pulling out, that you would not realize that I am able to get, if that makes sense. Like, side note, one-on-one client, I'm going to come back to this other client that bought this pass with me, but one-on-one client met with me, and the one that I met, and she literally had a comment about, like, I never really know what to ask for. I'm like, you don't have to necessarily ask for anything, because in my check-ins for my one-on-one clients, there's a spot that says, how can I personally help you, right? She's not a person that does well asking for help and saying, I need this, okay? And she wanted to have a conversation about it since we met in person. She's like, I just want to be clear, like, I'm not really good at this, and I sometimes don't know what to say there, and so a lot of times I leave it blank, and I said, that's okay. I said, because you give me so much more other information, I can pull it out and see where the struggle is. And that's why you get the check-ins that you do. A lot of times her check-ins are 15 to 25 minutes. Her response is because we're working through some pieces. Never once did she say, I need this or help me here. I can tell just in her language that she uses. So anyways, back to this other one-on-one client that I worked with yesterday. She was the same way. I could tell just by her language that she was using. And she's like, well, obviously some of it was the home, her life growing up and what was said and done in front of her. So there's that element, right? And then social media, right? Right now where we have everybody yelling at you from grocery stores, don't eat this, eat that, eat this, eat that. Even some, and it's sad because it's even some coaches that I respect that are like, don't eat this, eat that. If it's like, hey, here's some high protein options, go get them. Great. But if you're like, don't eat Yoplait yogurt over Greek yogurt. Hey, you know what? If Yoplait yogurt is the thing that you like, it's better than a fucking fast food sandwich. Okay? And I can tell you how to make it better. All right? Oh, look at all the ingredients. It's like, and you wonder why people are fucking confused. You wonder why people are so confused. And then you also wonder why people don't want to do anything, why people choose not to do anything, because they feel like it doesn't matter what the fuck they do, it's not going to be right anyway, because nothing's right. Right. So she was overwhelmed. I don't know what to eat. It started off as like, I used to know, this is literally what she said. I used to know what foods were good and bad: cookies, donuts, cake, ice cream, blah, right? But then it became carbs are bad. And then it became fat is bad. And then it became now fruit is bad. And then, bananas are too high in sugar. And they're going to spike your insulin. And then these, seed oils are terrible. And this oil is bad. And you can't use that. Meat is terrible for you. You're going to die. You have to become vegan, right? Like it's no wonder why people are fucking confused. And so I was like, yeah, like it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense why you would feel this way. It makes so much sense why you feel this way. Right. And then we started breaking things down, like to her specifically. Not to my other clients, not to people on Facebook, not to people over here on Instagram. Yes, those are generalities, right? But it's like, let's have a conversation about what works for you, which is why this process is so fucking individualized. I can't tell you who is on the other side, and I'm in the earbuds, in your earbuds or on your speakers or whatever I'm on, right? Without having deeper knowledge. People are asking questions. I'm like, hey, I would need more information. Like, you're asking this question, but I would actually need to know what's your history? What is your dieting, history look like previous to this? What's your health history previous to this? Like, that shit matters. I can't give you an answer because it's all very individualized, right? And so understanding that part, understanding the fact that, when I was breaking things down for her and I started explaining things, she was like, this makes so much sense. Like, I have never had it make so much sense. It seems doable. It seems manageable. I don't feel like I have to do anything, but I can do something. Does that make, it's a difference. It's a difference. I don't feel like I have to do this and this and this and this, but I can absolutely add this or change this or figure out what I need to do over here because it seems manageable. It seems doable. That is literally what she said. And even in her, in her message to me, that's what she said. It was so good to be able to share what my struggles and hangups are and to be able to get feedback from some direction that was specific to me and not just handed another cookie cutter diet plan. I feel so encouraged, like it actually feels doable, right? That's what she said. It actually feels doable. Because here's the deal. We choose not to do something when it doesn't feel like we can. So the easier thing to do, because I'm always going to take it back to your nervous system, is to do fucking nothing. To do fucking nothing. It's always easier to do fucking nothing because the other choice seems so overwhelming and hard. It seems too big. It seems monstrous. Instead of understanding, like, you can take one piece of this, right? I'm going to give you one example and then we're going to wrap it up. I wanted her to give me I said, what do you enjoy eating? What do you love to eat? Give me like your typical dinner. Like, what is something that you have on the go? And she kind of talked about, she had fettuccine Alfredo. I was like, oh, I love fettuccine Alfredo. She's like, it was noodles and I made homemade sauce. I made the homemade Alfredo sauce and all stuff. It's like, great, right? Awesome. But there was no protein. So I was like, man, so basically all I hear is that we're just kind of missing a piece of the protein, and that protein can be whatever you want it to be. It could be chicken. It could be shrimp. It could be ground meat. Like, keep in mind, I always remind her, it doesn't have to be what everybody does. If you have ground meat already made for your week and it's just simple and easy to toss in with your Alfredo, does it matter if it's not chicken Alfredo or shrimp Alfredo? No, make it ground meat Alfredo. Okay. It's fine to do. Right. Then she talks about how she was going to this diner or this, like, they call it a drive-in. She's from North Carolina. So they call things a little differently than we do. But she goes to this like drive-in place where you like drive up and you order your food and you go get your food and then whatever. Okay. And so she's telling me what she ordered. I'm like, cool. Is there a way to see if you can, like, she told me, oh, I get typically grilled cheese and French fries. Awesome. So we have a carb, we have a fat. Again, we're missing a protein. So what is the common theme for her? Her is, it's not that she's eating all this bad food. What can we add to the food without taking away the mac and cheese that she loves and the French fries and the grilled cheese that she loves? Like, what can we add to? We can add protein to almost every single thing that she had mentioned. Mac and cheese is like, she's like, oh, it's my comfort food. I said, yeah, it's awesome. Can you add some chicken? Or I said, we do like a taco mac where we put taco meat in it and bake it all together. Literally, that's what we do. Okay. And I buy mine from Aldi. I don't care. It is packaged. Ooh, chemicals. Blah, 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 scary. Blah, 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 blah. I told you how I was fired up. So that should have been a warning to he that if you're not in the mood for me, you probably should shut this off. But that's literally it. Right. She was like, oh, this is so different. This is like, wow, and it's wild. It's absolutely wild. But at the end of the day, you get to choose. There's always a choice not to do something. There's also a choice to step the fuck outside of your comfort zone and say, I need help. I need help. You want to talk about this with me? You want to figure out how to make this work for you specifically and not some rando person out there who's getting, the same fucking shit? Everybody gets the same thing? Cool. Awesome. Let's do it. Okay, you can buy a private day with me. You can buy up to 3 days. The more days you buy, the cheaper the day is. That's how I do it, right? $133 for 1 day or $333 for 3. And you can buy 2 days too. There's one in there. Okay, so it's like, understand that it doesn't have to be so hard. And it's a choice on whether or not you choose to do something about it. It will always come down to, it was the choice you chose to choose. Okay, this is way longer for Fighting No Filter. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. I got swim meets. I got husband home this weekend. He's not working. I got family dinner. We got both the dogs I haven't even talked about. We got another dog. We got Will's working dog. That's going to be a whole different episode. But it's going to be just a great weekend. Weather here is amazing. We're going to grill some foods or do some, I don't even know what. Yeah. So I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Get outside, get in some movement, and choose yourself.